Hi there, how's it going? So, I haven't done many videos lately because I've been doing a lot of work-related stuff, but I thought we could kind of cross it over a bit and I'll do some work-related stuff in a video. So what I've been doing, work-related, is cloning these things. These are industrial computers. They've got an SSD in them, yada yada. Not a very powerful computer. I think it's like a dual-core Celeron or something. So one of the things I've been doing is cloning the hard drives. So how I traditionally do this is either use a bootable utility and create an image of one. Like you set the first one up the way you want it, create an image, and then drop that image using your bootable utilities or bootable disk imaging software. Then drop that image onto all the other computers. Or you can take the hard drive out of the first one, plug it into your test bench, and then just plug the hard drives in manually and clone them across that way. But one thing I haven't actually tried, I've had this thing for a while. So this is like a external enclosure, but it also does cloning. It doesn't actually say it on there, but it supports offline clone function. So I've never actually used that before, so I'm actually going to try that out today and just see if that's any good. Like, does it take, like, how fast does it transfer the data between the drives? Because it's obviously a microcontroller based copy thing. It doesn't have like a Linux. It's not that advanced. It was only $60, so yeah, I'm just curious how fast it will clone a drive. So usually I just use this for reading drives because it's convenient. You can just plug it in the top. But today we're going to test it out, I think. Actually, we don't need that because we're doing an offline clone. I'm just going to power it up. Power over there. Alright, so we need a drive to clone. So we'll go get the one that's already open. Okay, so here's the one that is already open and set up. So this is the drive that is good. It's got like Windows 10 LTSC, so like the Microsoft's version of Windows 10 Lite. Yeah, so now we're going to pull apart the ones to clone. I'll clone this drive onto, put it in, and then we'll see how long it takes. So it's only going to be a quick one, but I thought I can make a quick video while I do work-related stuff. So let's get the other drive apart. Oh, sorry, other drive out of the industrial PC and see how well it works. Okay, so here's one of the computers, brand new in a packet. Also noticed too, a couple of these have had bad BIOS batteries. So I've also been checking the batteries and putting an external battery holder on too. So whoever has to change the battery in the future will be a lot less hassle, as I will show you, because it is like an annoying mini 2-pin connector wired directly to a battery rather than like an onboard holder where you can change the battery easily. So, alright, let's get this apart. Okay, so we've got a drive out. It's only a 64 gig industrial drive, and the industrial drives are more reliable because they can take a higher temperature, and they also are usually single or double layer NAND flash, so like the read-write. I've never had an industrial SSD die from the machines that these are from, sorry. So next thing we're going to do is check the CMOS battery, which incidentally is on the other side. So I'm just going to quickly take this lid off. Okay, so this is with the big heatsink off, which directly touches the processor and the memory too. The memory is cooled, interestingly, not that it really gets that hot. But here's the CMOS battery, and the connector is under here. So there, that's the little connector. So that's taped on. So replacing this, there's not really an off-the-shelf replacement you can get. So I've been soldering a external holder to it. That's actually a CR2032 battery anyhow. But anyway, we're gonna just check this battery, and might just put a new holder on it anyway. It's carefully pried off, double-sided tape. That's a CMOS battery, so let's see what volts that's got. Okay, multimeter. That's a bit fiddly getting the multimeter leads into this battery. Let's do it down here. Okay, this one's actually not too bad, 2.8. The other ones I've had 0, 1.7. We'll do it anyway because it'll be nice for the next guy that works on it. Save them having to go, oh, that's not a quick replacement. So, alright, let's solder a new connector on that. So yeah, as you can see, it's a much more convenient place. Hard drive sits like that. So the future guy who has to go in there and replace the CMOS battery, if they ever need to do that, it'd be a heck of a lot easier than trying to find one of those, you know, original batteries. So anyway, we'll put this aside and let's get the drive in the clone dock and see how this thing goes, which is what we're meant to be doing. Clone dock. Alright, now I've read the manual before, so apparently you hold down there's a button on the rear saying what OTC, one-time copy. So apparently we plug both drives in, and it's got clone A to B. Original is in there. Clone is on there. Alright, so power up. Alright, before we start this, I'm just going to go get a timer. Okay, so I just had a recheck of the manual, and what you do is power it on, hold down the button on the rear. So we'll start recording, actually, so it says hold it down, all the lights will start flashing, 25, there we go. It says press it within 3 seconds, start, and then yep, 25% is flashing. So let's let that run, see how long it takes. Okay, so looks like it took just under 7 minutes. I'm just re-recording this part because for some reason it didn't record. So anyway, I basically just noted that 64 gigabytes in just under 7 minutes, or it was like 6 minutes 58 or something. So basically 7 minutes, that's not bad. So apparently this does sector by sector copy. So times it by that, so what, 120 gig is 14 minutes. Scale up from there, what, 36, is that 36? 20, I don't know, 20, I'm not very good at maths. 7 minutes times 2, 20, what's that, 28. So about 28 minutes for a 240 gig hard drive. So I guess bigger drives is probably going to be pretty slow on this thing, but if you've got a smaller drive to clone, that's 7 minutes isn't terrible, I guess. So anyway, the question is though, did it work? So let's plug that drive into a system and see if Windows actually fires up after it's cloned. Okay, that's together far enough for us to give it a test. So let's plug that in. We've got a plug pack here. So interestingly, these things run on 12 volt, which is pretty cool if you're looking for a computer for a project where you don't want to use mains power for whatever reason. Let's try to find the keyboard. Okay, so she's booted up, and because we disconnected the BIOS battery, it's going to have a, oops, okay, there you go. So it's, yeah, it's kind of a, all the date, time and date, everything's reset, so we won't worry about that just yet. We'll just exit to make it happy. There we go, Windows is booting. So there you go, these clone docks do work. At least on 64 gig drives anyway. So yeah, it's interesting. Like I said, I've never really used a clone dock before. The good thing about, the reason why I bought that was because it's got the two, you can plug the two drives into it and you can use them both at the same time. So it was just handy for like, plug both drives in, plug it into Windows, and you can drag and drop files back and forth, or do as you wish. But yeah, I've never used that clone function before. So, well, there's Windows, and it looks pretty good. Device manager. One of the PCI devices won't be found, but that's normal. So yeah, there we go. Sweet. Hey, so this is like a week later. I was going to publish the video, but I just wanted to find the time to do a little bit more testing on this dock. Namely different size drives, and I wanted to know if it did, well not know, but work out if it actually did a bit level copy, or whether it does a file system copy, and how it would handle copying to different size drives. So if you copy, say, a 120 onto a 64, does that work? Or a 120 onto a 240, does it expand the partition? So anyway, I'm just gonna play like a little thumbnail down in the corner, because it's quite a bit I did, and I don't really want to add another 20 odd minutes to the video. So I'm just gonna give a bit of a conclusion. So the drive does bit level copy. So whether you have no files on a drive or the drive is completely full, it is exactly the same. When you copy a smaller drive to a larger drive, again, it does that bit level copy, but it doesn't extend the partition. It keeps the partition size identical to the source. What else we find? Copy time, 7 minutes for the 64 gig, which we've already gone through. And I did copy time of a 120, and it was exactly 14 minutes. So, yeah, that's to be expected. Different type of drive too. Like, different brand. Same type as in, SATA II and everything, but anyway. So that means if a 64 gigabyte takes 7 minutes and a 120 14 minutes, a 240 is 28 minutes, a 480 is 56 minutes, and a 1 terabyte is almost 2 hours. That's not very fast. So I also worked out the throughput speed. So if this was it doesn't say, I don't think, if it's what SATA, I mean, obviously supports, it says compatible with SATA II drives, but it doesn't say anything about the actual speed. It doesn't do SATA 3 speeds, that's for sure. So I actually did the math, and the theoretical throughput for SATA 3 is 6 gigabytes a second, but because of encoding and bandwidth and all this other jargon, it's more like 4.8 gigabytes a second, which gives a 600 megabytes a second absolute maximum on a SATA 3 bus. Yeah, so if the 64 gig drive takes 7 minutes to copy the entire drive, I worked it out on paper, and it turns out to be about 155 megabytes a second transfer rate. So if we look at the standards, SATA 1 is 1.5 gigasec second, SATA 2 is 3, SATA 2 is 3 gigabytes, SATA 3 is 6 gigabytes, which give a theoretical maximum of 150, 300, and 600. So if we're hitting 155 odd megabytes a second, it's only slightly faster than SATA 1 standard. So it might be a SATA 2 because it's gone over 150. It might be a SATA 2, just not very good at caching or whatever in order to get that throughput. So yeah, I was a little bit taken back by that. So if you got a 2 terabyte drive, you're looking at 4 hours to do a clone. And I know for a fact I could do it through Macrium Reflect a lot faster than that. I've cloned entire drives in like 10 minutes, I think. 1 terabyte drive in like 10 minutes. I might do a bit of a review one day just to see which is the fastest cloning technique. And I've got a few techniques that I've done over the years. But anyway, that's it. I just wanted to add this in. So I've put all that info up on the screen previously. So yeah. Just one more thing I want to try is we've now got our copy times for this drive using the built-in cloner. I just want to use Windows and copy one drive to the other and see what the comparison is. So I've just got both those drives plugged into the cloner. One I've filled up, it's like 18 megabytes free, which is hardly going to make a difference on our test, and one that is empty. So we're just going to manually copy everything except for those two. Copy all those to the empty drive and see how long it takes. I may have to set up a timer for this. Okay, here we go. So we're going to start it just as we start the copy. So go. Alright, we'll leave that running and we'll be back. See how it goes. Okay, so that's finished now. So we got 14 minutes and 42 seconds, and worked it out to be, for a 120 gig of files, to be 139.3 megabytes a second. So that's actually not great. It's slower than using the clone function in the dock itself. The only thing is though, that's still using this dock, so that's the USB 3, or I think it said 3.2 on the box. What do they reckon? Oh yeah, USB 3 speed. So I just want to try one more thing. I'm just going to erase the files that we copied to this drive, and I'm going to put them on the SATA 3 interface directly on the board and see what the copy times are. So let's just do that, just to do another comparison. We've got the two drives now set up on two of the SATA 3 ports. So let's fire up and do the test. Okay, so we've formatted that drive. Let's copy the files across and see how it goes. Copy. And ready on the button. And go. Okay, so that is now complete, and we ended up with 13 minutes 27 seconds. That gives us an average transfer time of 152.3 megabytes a second. I did think it was SATA II. Then I had a closer look and I actually realized it was SATA 6G. So one of the ports is SATA 6G, which is SATA 3, 6 gig. And the other ones are all 3G, which is only SATA 2. So that's still only like just above SATA 1 speeds. So it's not terrific. But anyway, I've been quite surprised by the comparison. I did actually think it would be faster off the top of my head, transferring drive to drive, especially through the SATA 2 ports, but turns out not really. They're all actually pretty close. So I'll just put a summary up on the screen now, and yeah, you can see for yourself what the different results were. So I'm just having a look. The main drive is actually showing SATA 3.2 and 6 at 6, and the Intel drives, I thought they were actually SATA 3 drives, but it turns out they're actually SATA 2 or 2.6. So they are actually SATA 3 capable ports. It's just running at SATA 2. So yeah, there you go. They are actually limited by SATA 2 speeds, but still thought it would be a little bit quicker than that. So yeah, in final conclusion, I'm actually not as disappointed as what it originally was. I actually thought that was terrible, but it turns out it's actually on par with yeah, the other ways of copying USB 3 and SATA 2 on the SATA ports. So there you have it. So there you have it. These things actually do work. Yeah, so anyway, I haven't had much time lately to do much. Been busy with work stuff, and that's been consuming all my spare time lately, doing extra stuff for work. So yeah, I'm hanging out to get stuck back into my projects, finish off this book 8088 video I want to do, which has got a lot of stuff in it, and carry on. So start moving on to some really old stuff. By really old, I'm talking about 486. I've got a 486 Olivetti there I want to rebuild and get that all up and running again. There's Osborne there, that's a 486. It's got a leaky battery, but see if we can't fix that somehow. So yeah, hopefully I'll be through this work stuff soon, sooner rather than later, and we can get back into doing some fun stuff. So till next time, I'll catch you later.